All right, guys, welcome to your week 4 report. Hopefully you slept well, got to watch game 4, big game 5 tonight. Hopefully you guys are enjoying playoff baseball, but let's hop into it here. Okay, this will be a relatively short one. Okay, obviously we had a good weekend, won a tournament. Hopefully you guys are wearing your rings, having some fun with those. I was with you. I was kind of expecting hats or just t-shirts, but forgot it was their national championship. So that was awesome. All of those teams are teams that we would expect to beat, but you did it and you did it pretty handily. So you have a lot to be proud of. Breaking down the changes in squad goals, okay, you can see as we start to play more games how these kind of level out and you see where they fall. Winning a lot of games, obviously, scoring first, quality at bats, first pitch strike percentage, strikeouts. Okay, we did a much better job on our strikeout rate this weekend. That got us a lot more runs in a wood bat tournament. Defensively, 2 out runs, we did a great job there. Quality at bats against, we did well. Free bases against, we did pretty well. And strikeouts, we did really well. So you can see all of these are over 80%. Most are close to 90. Some are at 100, other than our first pitch strike percentage 4. And honestly, our offense is taking care of that and helping us out. But pitchers, that's our challenge. Okay, we have to be able to get ahead. When we get into the count discrepancies and where you're good and where you're bad, not a lot of people put the ball in play 0-0. Okay, so we got a challenge there. 2 out of the first 3 pitches for a strike. And when we start to do that, we'll see this number start to grow as well. Okay, but really good job so far as squad goals. We won over 6 of the 11 in every single game we played this weekend. Nothing has changed on this slide. We need to stay locked into this focus. Okay, understanding when to swing for power, when to shorten up, make sure we put a ball in play. That's where we struggled a little bit this weekend early on. This was our worst weekend regarding alpha at bats. I know I mentioned it over the weekend, but need to do a better job of recognizing our situation and knowing what our rule is so that we go in with the right approach, owning those. But much better job with 2 strikes. Really gritty at bats, took some hit by pitches, worked back into quality counts that we could do something in. Really happy with our 2 strike presence. Defensively, we had a 0 error day on Sunday, which was awesome to see. Still a few too many errors over the weekend for my liking. I think our fielding percentage is at like a 942, maybe something like that. Really want to have that 950 or above. I know that that's like an absurd number for most high school teams or high school age teams. But with the players that we have and the pitching that we have, if we can field at that clip, we're not going to give up very many runs. We did a good job making routine plays. Didn't have many errors on, the very routine by any means. And I thought you guys did a good job of a 7 inning focus. I know we brought it in during that Vipers game just to calm everybody down for a second. Okay, one of the things that you're going to have to get used to experiencing is quite simply that when we're in a close game, you're going to feel more pressure than you probably should, solely because we haven't played a ton of close games because we're beating up on a lot of the teams that we're going to see. Okay, we're going to go into a doubleheader this next week against Nitro Gold. Don't know how they are. Okay, I know that they didn't expect much from us, so I'm excited to go into those games. Hopefully, you guys play with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder in those two. Really send a message there. Also, always fun to beat teams where players came from, and that's where Ty came from. So let's go and get it, get after it there. But you did a great job focusing on all 7 innings. Okay, there was never, you guys were not too high or too low at any point. The only place that I want to see a little bit of an improvement on that, and I know that I approved some of it over the weekend in spurts, but we got to do a better job of just remaining focused on where we're at and being present. Okay. I know it's hard for some of you guys who have switched roles and some of you guys who aren't used to being on the bench, that you have a little bit of bench time, POs that have moved to POs this year, guys who are injured, all of that. But make sure that our focus stays on what we're doing and what the game is. Okay. I know fantasy football is a thing. I know there's playoff baseball. I know there's a million other things going on, but those things aren't going anywhere. So when the game's over, we can check on that stuff. I don't mind a quick check. I didn't mind turning on in the dugout the end of the Alabama-Tennessee game. Okay, but understand that those are going to be the exception to the rule when those things happen, not the norm by any means. All right. Pitching 2 of the first 3 pitches for a strike, getting nasty with 2 strikes, and actually this percentage did not change. There's a 36% difference in our opponent's scoring rate when we get the leadoff guy out versus when they get on. Okay, so this is where we sit. Okay, again, the red is our summer average from this previous season. The green is our goal. Really good job leading off innings, back to 59% this week, well above our average. 2 outs with the runner on second. This is where we struggled. Okay, 44% this week after 71% last week. We left a lot of guys on base, and you'll see that our scoring was down a little bit, and it's all related to alphas. Okay, our hitting was fine. We took a lot of free bases, which was awesome. We ran the crap out of the bases, which was great to see, but we have to do a better job in these situations. Okay, runner on third under 2 outs. This was by far our worst week. We were 63%. There were 2 or 3 innings in that Nitro game to where we left runners on either second and third, or we left the bases loaded. And in a few of those innings, that had a lot to do with strikeouts. One of those innings was a bad call. Luke legging out a ground ball was definitely safe, but got called for a double play. Okay, so understanding our alpha and our approach is huge. Okay, ask questions here, because as much as this is the rule, there are some exceptions, especially with runner on third under 2 outs. If that's a situation where, it's bases loaded 1 out, we really want to adjust our approach as if it's a 2 out runner on second situation to not take strike 2. Okay, we still need to make sure that we get at least 2 swings off in that at bat. However, if the pitcher paints strike 1 in a spot that you're not going to be able to do anything with it, you're going to roll over a ground ball, that's potentially 2 outs and ending the inning if it's a force out situation or a double play position. Okay, so recognizing these slight adjustments, asking those questions is huge. I know a couple weeks ago, Kyle asked me about one after an at bat in a game. Okay, if you're unsure, we want you to have clarity in your approach. So feel free to call time. Like, pull me aside before you step into the box and say, hey, I know it's this, but should I have the same approach? Okay. Where you don't have clarity, you're going to struggle. Okay. So clarity of vision, clarity of approach gives you clarity of mindset, which allows you to then go into the box, not overthinking, allowing you to execute properly, versus going in being a little bit unclear and hazy will make you a little bit more tentative to pull the trigger. Okay, so ask questions as you guys have done alphas now for, everybody's done them for 4 weeks at this point, but some of you guys have been doing these much longer. Feel free to talk to your teammates. Okay, I don't know if you realize this, but you guys are surrounded by a lot of high level baseball players right now. Okay, so what that means is, as much as I feel like I and Coach Parrott and Coach Rader have to give you guys and we can teach you, a lot of your learning is also going to come from each other. Okay, if you watch pregame of MLB or any of those teams, what you'll see is that they're always constantly talking to each other, asking questions, figuring things out. Pitchers that's talking grips and mindset and approach, mechanics. Hitters that's approach and understanding. Okay, defense that's situational, that's recognition. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you can learn from each other. Don't waste that opportunity. Okay, you guys have done an incredible job of really coming together so far as a team, but that needs to continue. And one way to do that is to learn from each other. The other piece about asking teammates about this stuff is that we actually, as human beings, retain the most information, not from learning something, but from teaching it, which means if you are being asked questions about any of this stuff, by you being able to explain your process and truly outline what that is, you're going to connect with it better and you're actually going to go grow from it. Okay, so as much as it helps the person asking, it's also going to help the person sharing. So we want an open line of communication between all players on this front. Runner on third, under 2 outs, 63%. Guys, that's got to improve. Okay, so our record week by week so far, we were 2-1. That's not bad. It's red because that wasn't our goal. Okay, but that's not a bad week. Then we were 1-0, 3-1, 4-0. So we're sitting at 10-2. I always like to, at certain points in the season, kind of project what that would look like over the course of a full season, because we're running the short season in the fall. So think about it. If you're 10-2, we play roughly 35, 36 games in the summer. That puts you at 30-6. Okay, so that's a huge place to be. I'm excited about what that looks like and where that projects, but we have to keep that moving. And those 10 wins literally mean nothing when we go into Sunday. Okay, continue to focus on the game that's right in front of you and win that one. Win rating and P-win. This was blasted out. You guys have seen this. Okay, again, we're 12 games in. Not everybody has played all 12 games. Most of you have not, actually. So these numbers are going to drastically change over the course of a longer season. So if your numbers aren't great right now, that's okay. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. We got a lot of guys doing really, really good things, and we know what all of you guys are capable of. So we have zero concern about any player at this point. So please, please, please don't overthink or question or wonder. If you are in that stage where you're kind of wondering what your playing time is going to look like, questioning what you need to do in order to get on the field, open line of communication with us. Okay. Text, call, whatever you want to do. We'll let you know for sure. Okay. You might not agree, you might not love it, but we will let you know what we see and where you need to improve in order to get that time. Okay. So feel free to ask those things if you're unsure or wondering. Offensive splits. This is wild, y'all. We're 10-1 when we score 5 or more runs. Okay. 5 runs is all we need to win a baseball game. Okay. So you can see we've been well above that every single week. This was our worst offensive week. Yes, it was wood bat, but you can attribute a lot of that run scoring or lack of run scoring. We still averaged about 9 runs a game, but you can attribute a lot of that lack of run scoring in comparison to previous weeks to those alpha at-bats. Okay, walks and hit by pitch were up, which was great. Wood bat tournament, you guys taking free bases. Okay, always helps. That was huge. 7-0 when we get 6 or more. We actually had our first game of the fall where we didn't get 2 extra base hits. We only had 1. But again, wood bat, that's going to happen. We're not going to be perfect. Okay, so we're 9-2 when we get 2 or more extra base hits. This was the first week that we averaged less than 2 a game, but we were at like 1.75. So still in a great spot. Okay, total hits, 6 or more, we're 9-2. Under 6, we're 1-0. Okay, our hit total was down. Again, wood bat, that's going to have something to do with it, but we hit pretty well and well enough to win games. We also found some barrels that happened to go right at people, and that's just baseball. It's going to happen. Okay, but really happy with the way that you guys are performing offensively. Stolen bases is really, you know, we got more than 4 every single game this weekend, but that record is the biggest difference of all of these factors, right? So all we got to do is score 4 or more bases. That's going to apply enough pressure to create more errors, to get them wondering about the bases, to throw more fastballs, to allow us to hit better. Okay. It's this ripple effect that happens when we can create pressure in the right ways. And we're 10-0 when we steal 4 or more. Okay. This was our best base running weekend. We averaged over 6 bases a game. I think we're up to, I think Coach Parrott said 70, but I had to go back into Game Changer and adjust a few things that were scored or not scored in that sense. I know we had the bases loaded rundown with Sammy that ended up scoring 2 runs, and those are all technically stolen bases. So I had to go back and mark those. But at this point in the season, we were actually at 74 stolen bases, which means you need 26. Is that right, math? Yeah, that's right, math. 26 over the next 4 games in order to hit that 100 mark. And that would be an insane fall. So that's averaging 6.5 a game. Okay. As much as we want to hit that 100 mark, and that is a goal, that's very much a secondary goal. And we're not going to do it just to do it. The game situation has to dictate that we can run. So we're not going to run just to run. Okay. As long as we continue to get guys on base and create the pressure that we have every ability to go and do that. Defensively, 4 or fewer runs against, we're 6-0. Okay, we averaged 1.75 runs against this weekend, which was huge. Okay, I don't think our pitchers were perfect by any means, but overall they did a really, really good job, and our defense played better, putting us in a position to give up less than 2 runs a game. Okay, earned runs was 1.5 a game. Again, a really huge number there. We're undefeated when we allow 7 or fewer earned. So, sorry. Okay, so that's a huge number for us. Granted, we're going to score 5+ runs in the vast majority of games that we play. So what this does is we have to recognize that a lot of teams rely on either pitching, defense, or offense in order to win baseball games. Okay, we have the ability to be extremely dynamic where we can win a 14-10 game if needed. But if our pitchers, who are very capable of keeping teams under 5 runs, if they do their job, it helps the offense, right? So this is a recipe for a lot of potential games that we're drastically outscoring opponents. We're outscoring them about 2-1 at this point in the season, which we'll get to here in a minute. It's been kind of wild to see the difference in what we're putting up versus what we're giving up. Okay, but that only continues to improve if our pitchers continue to pound the zone and our defense continues to play well while the offense performs. Okay, walks and hit by pitch. 5 or less, we're undefeated. 6 or more is the only time that we start to get into the area where we lose games because we're giving up too much free stuff. Okay, this weekend, We averaged a little over 5 a game, so slightly over that goal. Most of that happened, I think, in like one game, honestly. For the most part, we did a pretty good job there. Okay, errors, 1 or less, we were 5-0. We averaged 1.25 this weekend, so we're closer. So if we can focus in those next 2 weeks on our defense, we're going to be in great shape. Pass balls, wild pitch, 8-1 when we only allow 2 or less. Okay. You don't think about that being a number that really matters, but think about how many times we've created pressure. We get pass ball, wild pitch. We don't have to bunt. We don't have to steal. Okay. It's completely free and we just get to move up. Okay. That plays a huge role in games. And there's been very few times that teams have just been moving up bases for free because of pass balls or wild pitches. Okay. So really good job there from both pitchers and catchers. Okay. This is kind of crazy, y'all. Okay. When we look at inning by inning runs and we look at times through the order, both of these numbers show a huge discrepancy in what we're doing offensively versus defensively. Okay. You are currently winning every single inning 1 through 7 that you were playing. Okay. A lot of these innings, we're winning by a drastic number. 7th inning, crushing it. 4th inning, 3rd inning, absolutely crushing it. 1st and 2nd, we're winning, but not as big as I would like. 5th and 6th, we're winning, but not as big as I would like. Okay, so a lot of times our second time through the order has been huge. You can see that on times through the order right below the inning by inning. Okay, first time's been good. The second time has been absolutely enormous. And then we start to drop off a little bit. Okay, so my challenge to you on the offensive side is really simple. Treat every at bat with the same intensity. Okay, when we get up 9-1, 10-1, whatever it might be, it's easy to lose that focus and that intensity late. I did it this weekend, right? I definitely forgot how many outs there were. Did ask the umpire and he told me the wrong number, but at the end of the day, like that's on me as a coach. And we were up big and I was just kind of chilling, hanging with you guys. And I made a mistake. Okay. If we're in a close game, that hurts us. Okay. So we cannot allow those things to happen. That's 100% my bad. And I need you guys to have that same focus and same accountability for your at bats later in the game. Okay. Some of that could just be we're squaring balls up right at people. 3rd and 4th time through. If you look at how they're scoring, they're not the 4th and the 5th time through the order, and we're getting to that point, which is great. But don't give away at bats just because we're up big. All right. But at this point, honestly, these numbers are staggering, absolutely huge. A ton of positive takeaways in that. Big inning analysis. This weekend we gave up 0 big innings, I believe maybe 1, and we scored a good amount of big innings. Okay, our big inning offense, these numbers changed a little bit. 2.9 hits per inning is what we need. With one of those going for an extra base hit, we're getting nearly 2 runs and free bases, stealing nearly 2 bags. They're not making errors. They're not giving us extra outs. We're just applying pressure. Okay, so that is absolutely huge to know that as a lineup, we have the capability of creating big innings without needing help from the defense, right? You're working good at bats. You're getting on base. We're stealing bags. They're not making errors, and we're still getting 3+ run innings. All right, so that's huge. Okay, inning by inning record, we're up to 62%. Shutdown after score, we're up to 68%. Punchback after score, we're down to 62%. But we're in a really, really good spot. Okay, so that's got to be the focus this next week to get this number back over 65%. Okay, I know that throughout this, I give you 4 or 5 different focuses. Okay, understand what your role is and the relationship or connectivity between these. Okay, punching back after a score is focusing on your at bats. Okay, a lot of times we give up a run late in the game when we're up big and then we come up and we don't score. Okay. So winning each individual inning that you're in can be huge. We want to keep that mentality. I think you guys have done a great job of that. These numbers are all in a good spot. And one of the things that I don't want you guys to do is hear me talking about this or telling you the areas that we need to improve. And you think, man, coach doesn't think we're playing very well. Like you guys are crushing it. We're absolutely crushing it. But our job is also to make sure that we continue to trend in the right direction and find any little thing that could end up hurting us in a close game and make sure that we're working to improve in those areas. Okay. So as great as this is, And as much as we want to celebrate winning a championship and being 10-2, there's also always areas that we can improve. And our job is to constantly pursue perfection. Okay. We will never be perfect, but the constant pursuit of that brings us closer to it every time we take the field if we have the right intent. So that's why we're going over these things, even though these numbers are in a great spot. Okay. Nothing changes on our keys. No 3-run innings against, 1 or more big inning a game offensively, compete to win every single inning that we play. All right. Moving to last piece of this, our by count, OPS, on base and slugging, as well as how we're doing when we get the leadoff guy on in an inning versus when we do not. Okay. We are scoring 69% of the time when our leadoff guy gets on. Really want that number at 75. Leadoff out, we're scoring 35% of the time. We're 10% over that goal, which is great. Reminder that our biggest key, regardless of these percentages over here, is that these numbers equate to or are above 100%. That's going to mean that we have a high-powered scoring offense, or that we're scoring often, and you guys are there. Okay, we're doing a great job. We only have 1 yellow count in hitters at this point, so y'all are crushing it. Slugging in 3-1. That's one of those spots that we got to let it loose. Some of you guys have done that and just not seen the results. So I don't think that this number is bad. But the amount of green that we have in not only hitters counts, but also bridge counts is huge, especially when you look at the fact that hitters counts and bridge counts for us. Give me 1 second. I'm looking at it on my phone. We are, let's see, 60% of our counts, we reach a result in this area in hitters counts or bridge counts. Only 40% of our counts are we reaching the red or the 2-strike areas. And in those, we're getting a decent amount of those at the 3-2 area to where we're crushing it. Okay, so really good job in hitters counts and bridge counts. 2-strike isn't bad by any means, but you can see that the only consistent red here is 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, which again doesn't mean that we have to create better results there. It just means we got to work out of those counts. Okay, so finding ways to jump a pitch earlier in the count when we have it, finding ways to battle pitches off until we work back to a full count where we're crushing it and thriving there. Okay, all good things that we can do, but overall can't complain about this much green. Here's your by player. Okay, obviously the individual numbers are in your Google Classroom that you guys can go and see. Just because you're green doesn't mean you're all exactly the same there. The percentages are still different. Okay, when you look at this, if you have, let's see, if you have 3 or more red counts, there's areas that we can really focus, and there's probably a trend within those. Okay, so you look at Aiden, it's getting down in the count early. You look at LJ, it's early in the count. Dalen's kind of all over the map, a lot with 2 strikes. We just got to fix some intent things. Overall numbers are really good. So that's the other piece too. Okay, like Dalen's got a lot of red counts right now, but those red counts don't have a lot of at-bats because we've only played 12 games. Okay, so although he's got way more red counts than green counts, his offensive numbers are not in a bad spot. It's just the counts that we're doing those in, we don't have great numbers versus counts that we're doing well in. Okay, so don't look at this and think, well, this means that, I'm a bad hitter. This person is the best hitter. Okay, there's some value in seeing how many and recognizing like how certain hitters are doing versus others. But another part of this though is also getting to the counts that you're green in and thriving in those, and then trying to either avoid, manage, change, whatever that is as far as approach to get rid of the red ones. Okay, so this is not a 100% indicator of how you're hitting. It just gives you an idea of what your approach really looks like and what the intent is. Okay, truly 3 or less on the red, you're in good shape. Anything more than 3, I was 1 off when I said that a minute ago. So 3 or less, you're good. Anything more than 3, I want you to really look at that, find the trend, and shoot me a text at some point this week about your physical or mental adjustment to your approach. Okay. And some of you, it might be, hey, here's what the adjustment that I have been making, and I just need to continue to stay locked into that and do better. Some of you, it might be, hey, here's my new approach that I really want to try out because it's going to help me thrive in these areas, whatever it is. Okay. So if you have 3 or more, that's one of your response pieces. Sorry, if you have 4 or more, that's one of your response pieces. Let me know that. If you have 3 or fewer on the green, Same thing, respond and let me know what we're going to adjust in that area. Okay. If you don't fall into either of those categories and you got a lot of green and just a little bit of red, you can still send over your approach stuff if you want to, but not as concerned about that because you guys are pretty locked in right now. All right. Defensive side, they're scoring 61% of the time when they lead off an inning. We got that down, but we're 1% off from our goal. Lead off out, we got that down as well, and we're at our goal. Okay, so just because we're at our goal doesn't mean we found success. We need to continue to find success there and finish that over the next 4 games. Hitters counts, a lot of red, a little bit of yellow, a little bit of green. The green and 2 and 1 and 3 and 1. Okay, that's good. That's awesome. That means that we have good stuff on the mound, but we don't want to get there. Okay, 0-1, 1-1. Okay, not doing bad. We're putting too many 0-1 pitches in the same spot that we put 0-0 pitches. Okay, what I mean by that is we throw strike 1 and that's awesome. And our goal is to throw 2 out of the first 3 for a strike. Absolutely. But we're just repeating the same pitch, same location. And they're seeing a second fastball that's catching plate that they can then drive. Okay, that doesn't mean that we have to change too much of that. They're not doing it often. If you think about the Vipers game, the first 2 hitters did that to Drew, and those are the only 2 hits that he gave up in his entire outing. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. It doesn't hurt us that much, but as pitchers, this is where, especially second time through the order, your ability to throw that secondary pitch for a strike becomes really important because you can actually throw that, mix it up just to keep them off balance. And then there's a lot of different ways you can go once you throw that first strike and you're sitting 0-2. Okay. Lot of green in the 2 strike area. So we're doing a really good job in that spot. And like I said, over 50% of at bats, let me get the exact number, 53% of at bats against us are reaching 2 strike counts. Okay. So over 50% of the time you're in this area getting a result. Okay, you can see how important that is based on the discrepancy of these numbers. So we don't get here without getting to 0-1 or 1-1 or 1-2, ideally. Okay, if we get to 2-1, although our numbers are good, okay, 2-1 and 2-2, we're in great shape, but the 2-1 to 3-1 difference isn't good at all. Okay, so we just want to avoid 2-1 if we can. Okay, really good focus from pitchers this weekend. I thought you guys did a really good job throwing. Some of you guys, if you didn't throw this weekend, your numbers haven't changed. But those of you who did, you can kind of see where you're at. And same thing, if you have more than 3 red counts, send over what you want to do to fix those. If you have 3 or fewer green counts, send over what you're going to do to fix that. Again, doesn't have to be anything huge. Okay, little things. For instance, McNabb, I think you're absolutely throwing the snot out of it this fall. You're doing a great job. Your numbers are awesome. 0-2, 1-2, 2-2 killing it, 1-0, 2-1, 0-1 not killing it. So really when we look at that, you know, if you look at the 1-0 and 0-1 are the areas that you're struggling, it's really that second pitch of the at bat that becomes really, really important. And that second pitch to take you to 1-2 or to strike them out. Because once we're 0-2 or 1-2, we're good. But once we get to 2-1, we're in trouble, right? So you're in a good spot for sure. Just minor adjustments. Okay. Proud of the conversations that you guys have started with us as a coaching staff and your weekly responses. Keep that up. When you do respond, here's the big things that I want. Okay. Obviously your approach stuff, but here's the other piece. Okay. This is a great time where I just want you to check in. Okay. One of the things that those of you that have played for me know this, those of you who haven't, just want to tell you this so you kind of recognize and understand coaching style and strategy a little bit and relationships. But I don't know, and our coaching staff doesn't know that there's a problem if you don't let us know that there's something going on. Okay. So that doesn't mean that you need to find something and create a problem that doesn't exist. Okay. There's a lot of smooth sailing right now and it's wonderful. And I am extremely proud of the teammates that you guys are and the selflessness that you've shown to accept a role, to not be on the field 100% of the time for a lot of you, to not throw complete games and throw 3 to 5 innings instead. Okay, you guys have done a tremendous job with role acceptance, and that's a huge reason for our success. But with that and with improved competition on the team, all of those pieces, there are times that you might find yourself in an area where you're just doubting. Okay, you're doubting your role, you're doubting your value. I don't want you to feel that way. Okay. And I don't know that you feel that way unless you say something, because I am not one to go and search to fix problems that I'm unaware of. Okay. So the way that we structured or handle it is there's not a problem unless it's brought up. Okay. And that means that you can expect us as coaches, if we see something, we'll say something. If you guys are having a problem, an issue, you have questions or concerns, okay, we don't know that unless you say it. But it is an open line of communication for you to say it. Just make sure that you handle it the right way at the right timing. Middle of the game, not the right timing. Directly before a game, not the right timing. Okay. During the week, absolutely the right timing. And don't approach it about any other player. Approach it about yourself and what you need to do. Okay. As long as you handle that the right way, you'll be in a good spot. Okay. So all I want to do for your weekly response outside of your approach stuff is just check in with how everything's going. Okay. That could literally be a text that says, everything's going well, coach. Like, we're crushing it. Can't wait to play this weekend. Okay. Totally fine. Or if you have questions or you want to know what you got to do in certain areas, okay, ask those things. Okay. If I ever had a coach or a coaching staff that like opened that door, I would have been very thankful as a player. I didn't have that very often in my career. So I want to extend that to you guys. So please don't see that as a trap by any means. We want you to communicate. All right. Outside of these things and that response of a check-in from everybody of just how everything's going for you, the only other piece that I need a response on is your attendance for our doubleheader this weekend. Currently, the games are scheduled to be at Round Tripper. First game will be Sunday at 11:30. Pitchers, especially, we need to know if you guys will be in attendance. We are now to the point where everyone's going to throw pretty much a max of 2 innings with double headers the next 2 weeks, which means you can go out and chuck it. Would love, with that in mind, to get the gun on you guys next weekend. That doesn't mean overthrow, but with a short outing, be good to get some video with you guys kind of letting it loose in a couple outings here of 1 to 2 innings. And really, that's it. Okay. So respond to those things. Proud of what you guys have done. We are off of lessons this week and pick up next week for anybody questioning that or not knowing what's going on. New mindset training starting up. I've had a few players text and reach out to ask. So you can ask me about that this week. That'll get started next Monday if people are wanting to do that piece. But proud of what you guys have done. Excited for this group. Really enjoy coaching you guys and having the staff and the group that we do. And be thankful for the parents that you have and the environment of our fans, because they're here for a good time. And it's been really cool to watch them just be good fans and cheer you guys on and like not have any issues with any parents at all. So let's keep that going. That's wonderful, but make sure you're thanking them for the sacrifices that they're making for you guys to play all fall and to do these things, and just continue to extend gratitude in every area so that you guys can continue to stay in a positive mindset. All right. Proud of y'all. We'll see you this weekend. I'm looking forward to our talks this week. See ya.